Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. My name is Dan Farisi, and I'm Group Director of Content and Editorial, Industrial and Tech at Emerald, today representing our commercial integrator brand. I appreciate you joining us today for this informative webinar presentation entitled A Look Behind the Wall, Insights into Video Wall Processing Technology. Commercial Integrator is delighted to be partnering with Datapath to present this content to you today. Thank you so much for joining. For the next half hour, we'll describe and illustrate a different perspective about the technology being used in video wall processors in 2026. Using the example of mission-critical application settings, we'll explore why and how video wall processing technology can keep operations running reliably 24/7. We'll also explain the intricacy of engineering video wall processing ability in these application settings, and of course, we'll explain the relevance and opportunity for you, our systems integrator audience. It's going to be a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much for joining us and being part of it. I did just want to share some quick information about Commercial Integrator before we dive into today's topic. So our upcoming May-June issue is going to feature our annual and highly anticipated DV-LED deep dive. It's our most expansive coverage of the DV-LED category for the entire year. It's also your chance to understand which technologies are ascendant, which suppliers are gaining market share, how the technology is being deployed, and what the market is demanding right now. Do not miss it. We also, of course, have our Commercial Integrator Best Awards currently in the field. We encourage industry community members to nominate the best, most remarkable, most highly differentiated products for consideration. If you'd like details on how to submit, don't hesitate to reach out to me and I'd be happy to help. Finally, of course, I'll mention CD Expo, CIX. Registration is opening this week. Be sure to join us in Denver in September for the show's signature blend of new products, education sessions, peer-to-peer networking. Find all the details at cdexpo.com. For those who have not used the On24 platform before, I did want to share just some basic information about the platform we're using today. The On24 console you're looking at right now can be completely customized. You can move and resize windows, making the video or slides larger or smaller as you like. We'll also find an array of interactive tools as part of the experience. For example, you'll see a media player, which is a button for it has a button for your video and for your volume. Of course, you can also expand the media player if you'd like to see the speakers or the data presented more clearly. There's also a Q&A box. You can submit your questions in this widget at any time during the presentation. We'll get to as many of them as we can and respond via text. There's also a resource list and download box you can click through to download the slides and any related resources from today's sponsor and presenter, Datapath. And perhaps most important is the survey icon, which you can click to share your feedback at any time during the session. Your input is extremely important to us, so before logging off today, please be sure to take a moment to share your feedback and help us improve future events, make them even more actionable, even more beneficial for you and your business. If you have any follow-up questions or you need help with your experience at any time, just press the help icon and you'll be able to get further guidance in the moment to make sure you get the most from this experience. With that, I want to welcome our presenter here today, Peter Pritz, who is pre-sales engineer with Datapath. He has a great presentation planned, and we're going to do a lot of real-time dialogue and interaction as well to make sure that you get the most bang for your buck and a lot of value from this conversation. For now, Peter, thank you so much for joining us. Can't wait to talk with you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. So why don't we get right into it? I know you have some great content planned, and I'll ask my questions along the way.
All right, that sounds great. So yeah, what we wanted to bring to you guys was more of a back to basics on video wall processors. So first and foremost, I want to just kind of take a step back and ask the question, what is a video wall? So there are a number of different types of video walls. Two of them are displayed here. The one on the left would be your traditional block of displays, essentially. And what that is a bunch of LCD displays all pushed together to make one large output canvas. A lot of pixel density on those and a lot of room for different pieces of content. Another type of display surface that we're seeing a lot now is LED displays, and these are more large display surfaces. Something very unique about them is they can very easily be fit to a certain space. So that's one of the great advantages of LED processors.
So, what are some of the places in which they are used? What are some of the applications, some of the environments that video walls are really well suited to? Obviously, we're seeing them proliferating across environments, but are there some that it's really almost like a natural shoe in? Video walls have to be there?
Yeah, so absolutely. And I've got a couple up on the screen right now. Utility markets is absolutely a big one. Anything that really has a security operations center, a network operations center, a lot of traffic management centers as well. And more recently, we're seeing a big push into real-time crime centers. And for those types of environments, they've obviously got a ton of different material that they need to see. So having large display surfaces, whether that be LCDs or LEDs, having those display surfaces to put the content on is absolutely crucial for real-time decision making for those operators in the space.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. And that real-time decision making really lies at the heart of their function, right? They need to be able to act on a dime. And that means having visibility into everything they need to see to be able to make good, smart, effective real-time decisions.
Absolutely.
So let's ask about those trends. That's next. What are the trends you're seeing? You're well positioned in the market to be able to opine on where it's going, what the needs are. What are the trends that you're seeing, and how is Datapath acting upon them and furthering the development of the field?
Yeah, so one of the first big trends that we're seeing is video wall shrinkage. Now, that might not be exactly as you think it is. So, of course, in these spaces, they have plenty and plenty of video walls. But what we're seeing is that rather than just a large video wall up in front, they've kind of been separated and parsed out. And now we're seeing many different smaller video walls throughout the space. And a lot of these spaces are shared. So there's a couple different operations going in that same room, going on in that same room. And now what we're seeing is all of those different operations do have their own video walls so that they can show the content that they need to see when they need to see it. Additionally, we've been seeing a huge push towards personal video walls. So, I mean, nowadays, I'm sure you see it, these operators have tons and tons of displays at their position. And from a video wall processing perspective, we see that as a personal video wall.
Mhm.
So allowing those operators to pull all that content up directly in front of them is absolutely critical at this point. The last thing I'll mention on the video wall shrinkage is actually LED adoption. That has absolutely become huge at this point with the price of LED displays coming down in price. But interestingly, with those LEDs, you're not getting as many pixels up there. With LCD, you're getting tons and tons of different pixel spaces on the wall, but with LED, that's kind of coming down, and you're just left with one large canvas of LED pixels.
Really interesting stuff. And I'm especially interested in kind of the personal video wall aspect of it. I hear a lot about the idea of, especially in command and control settings, mission critical settings, that operator centricity, having the workflow kind of shape itself around the operator, make him or her not have to adapt their workflow or their style or their needs to the tech, but having the tech adapt to them. Is that personal video wall aspect, that shrinkage, part of adapting to the operator's workflow, making it easy for them to execute?
Right, absolutely. I mean, having a great video wall up in front is perfect for kind of an overview type of operation. But really, when it comes down to it, the operators down at their position, they're performing the tasks that are absolutely critical. So for them to have all of those pieces of content immediately in front of them, it is absolutely important.
And I think it's really that outcome driven approach that so many of us are talking about now. It's not about tech for tech's sake. Tech is a means to an end, right? So, I mean, we can come up with the most fantastic devices and products, but it's ultimately about how it helps a real human being achieve the goals that they're trying to achieve. And it seems like that's exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly. Yep. So the next trend that we're seeing in this space is regarding the content and the actual sources that those operators need to interact with. So, 5, 10 years ago, there weren't as many sources as there are now. We're seeing an absolute boom in the number of different pieces of content that operators need to interact with. And that can be from anything from just HD sources. We're seeing a lot of it move into higher resolution video feeds, so 4K, and then maybe even in the future we'll see a lot of 8K. Haven't seen too much of that just yet, but that's what people think is coming down the pike. And then the transmission of those sources from location to location is absolutely critical. A lot of what we're seeing is AV over IP now, so a lot of IP-based sources that need to be brought down to either the video walls or to the operator's position, and plenty of web applications now. So also a huge topic.
On the whole dichotomy between the HD, the 4K, the 8K, as you say, when we get into those, super ultra high resolutions, we're not necessarily seeing a ton of that content, but it may well be coming down the pike. What has been kind of slowing it down, the advancement? Is it the cost? Is it the lack of content in that quality? What is slowing down the progression to 8K? I mean, is it simply just not necessary? Is it beyond what human visual acuity can pick up at the viewing distance? What is the slowdown?
Well, so what I've been seeing is usually on the video wall itself, having an HD signal is typically fine, because once you get up to that 4K canvas, the content on it starts to get a little bit small. So if you're doing any scaling on a video wall, you might lose some of that fidelity, and you won't be able to make out what you're looking at as well. But down on the operator's position, that's kind of where 4K is critical, because those panes of glass are only a foot from their face. So to have that ability to pixel peep and see each piece of content is very good.
Absolutely.
So the next trend that we're seeing is a huge push towards integration and automation. So things like a VMS and all of the video management systems that we might see, a lot of them do have the ability to send out triggers. So to have a video wall that's flexible enough to react to that type of trigger can be absolutely crucial when you're in a high stakes environment where you need content to immediately populate on a display surface so you have visual of it. Also, with a lot of buildings pushing towards more of a smart type environment, so like your HVAC, your lighting, access control, again, being able to have a video wall react to that type of stuff can be very useful. So a good example I'd like to bring up is if there is somebody coming into a room that really shouldn't be there, if they have their access control and it lets them in, maybe some data that shouldn't be up there on the wall can be immediately closed. Another very good use case is if another shift is starting, maybe they've got a preferred set of content that they would like to see up on that display surface. So any open and easy integration from the video wall processor side is very useful.
Absolutely. I think you've already kind of intimated this with the explanation you just gave, but why don't we just get right down to it? Why is video wall processing so important? Why is it essential?
So there are certainly a number of different types of reasons that it can be important, but to kind of take a step back and look from 1,000 feet up, this is a very basic topology of what you would see and why you would want to use a video wall processor. So you have all of your input types coming into that centrally managed system, and all of your operators can then make changes to that system and push it out to any of the display surfaces. So again, to cover that, centralized management is very, very important here. That will allow these operators to interact and move any of the content sources from display surface to display surface, build out certain templates and layouts that they really like to have with certain pieces of content in the places that they want to see them. And all of that can be typically locked down with a full user rights management. So on the content processing and display side, when we are talking about display surfaces like LCD, having all of those outputs synchronized so you're not getting tearing between display surfaces is very important. So most display processors are agnostic in what they can actually output to. So when you are dealing with a bunch of different manufacturers of display types, having the ability to adapt to all of them is very good. And then any video wall processor worth its salt can do some other smart and intelligent things like cropping and scaling. We can do some layering as well.
The display agnostic thing also strikes me as being important for exactly the reason you say, and what we talked about before, like the flexibility, molding to the existing workflow you have rather than being overly prescriptive, like we only work with this, we only work with that. Is that a key demand these days in these mission critical environments, that I don't need to do a rip and replace, I don't need to reimagine my infrastructure, I want to be able to work with the infrastructure I have, so that agnosticism is important? Is that true, or do you disagree?
Oh, I absolutely agree. And I mean, no one video wall is the same as the other. So being able to adapt to different display sizes and resolutions and different aspect ratios is very important.
Thank you.
And then making best use of that display surface is obviously very important with the type of content, the data sources that you're putting up there. So in the industry, we call baseband your typical HDMI DisplayPort connections. And if it's old school, maybe even VGA. We're seeing less and less of that in my experience because a lot of it is moving towards all IP based and AV over IP based. So things like H.264 5 streams, they're ubiquitous at this point. You got your traffic cameras, your building cameras. All of those sources are being brought in over a network now. Likewise with remote desktop and VNC connections to maybe a video or a VM, sorry. And then to kind of carry on with that, we have things like websites and applications are all coming in over an IP-based method. So being able to pull them up onto a video wall is crucial. Then we could do other things like local media inputs, so branding and all that kind of good stuff can be also brought in. And then lastly, I'll mention HDCP content. So things like cable boxes or Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, making sure that those operators have kind of a look out into what's happening in the real world, maybe via news, having the ability to pass that encrypted content through an entire system is very important. And then lastly, I'll mention the ease of operation, obviously very important when it comes to reacting quickly to certain scenarios. So stuff like drag and drop is good to very easily change out what you actually got up on the video wall, and then integration with things like a touch panel or a third-party control system is also good. And so the last thing I'd like to touch on is easy operation. So of course, being able to interface with the video wall in an easy fashion is going to be very important. So things like an easy drag and drop to change certain layouts that are up on the wall, to drop in different content depending on the scenario. And that type of integration can be done through like a touch panel, a third-party controller, swapping out your dashboards with different pieces of VMS software. And all of that can be saved as a template or a layout. So as soon as something does need to change, it's usually just a hit or a button or a simple drag and drop. And then everything that's on your display surface can easily change. There's a lot of embellishment that can be done to those pieces of content that are up on the wall. So things like on-screen display labels, so you can label exactly what pieces of content you have up there, and borders and all that good stuff.
So, Peter, you've given me like a lot of information, obviously, about the nuances of video wall processing, how it aids operators in these mission critical settings. But I'd love to just step back and zoom out for a moment, if you would, because Datapath is really uniquely positioned. You know this 24/7 mission critical market better than virtually anyone. You talked about the need for intuitive drag and drop interfaces, for example, so people can react on a dime. You've talked about the need to have up close visual acuity so people can look at the various windows and see if something needs to be responded to, and if so, respond quickly. Can you just give me a sense of how 24/7 mission critical is maybe categorically different from some of the other categories the commercial integrator might cover, like retail or hospitality? I mean, the differences are obvious, but you know it from the ground level perspective. What is the different mindset? What is the different technology imperative? How is this market different? Because again, no one knows it better than Datapath.
Yeah, so one of the huge things that is important, obviously, in these 24/7 environments is that they need to be up and operational 24/7. So having things like redundancy, power supplies that won't go down, different paths for video signals to get to display surfaces is absolutely critical, because if that video wall is down, if the operators can't access the data that they need to access, obviously bad things are going to happen. So redundancy built in there is going to be very important.
And what about the role that integrators can play? I mean, obviously, our audience with commercial integrator, it's in the name, is integrators. So, what role can integrators play as outcome guarantors, as outcome facilitators? Is this an area where integrators can not just make margin and make revenue, but really make a difference as strategic consultative advisors to their clients, to the operators? Is there a value add opportunity for integrators here, not just as suppliers of Datapath video processing, but also in terms of just adding value to the chain and being really indispensable parts of the value proposition?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, bringing in a system that is flexible and can meet the end user's needs, uh, something like a video wall processor is going to allow them to do that. So if they're able to bring in a smart and intelligent system to link up all of the content pieces of sources to their displays with easy operation, and allow them to do what they need to do, that's going to be a great value add for the customer from the integrator.
And I think that's what it's all about. We're trying to arm integrators with the ability to add that value beyond simply reselling, but really being the kind of the brains behind the operation, being able to help meaningfully the end user achieve their goals, achieve better outcomes, and of course, bring the best possible technology, including Datapath video wall processing technology, to the ecosystem to assure that outcome.
Absolutely.
So, Peter, it is very clear that you know this market extremely well. Thank you so much for all the informative insights you've given us so far. But I want to go a little bit deeper about you. Where did all this knowledge come from? How long have you been with Datapath? What has been your journey within the organization, so to speak? Because again, you clearly know this market inside and out. So we found the right speaker for this webinar. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, thank you. So I have been with Datapath for a little over 10 years now, so it's been quite a journey, starting actually as the intern and then moving into Datapath support, and now finally ending up in pre-sales. And really, it's just been fascinating to see the industry kind of evolve over time, and Datapath's place in that industry especially. It's moved very heavily from a focus on just the video wall display surfaces throughout the command and control space down to the operator's position now, and actually being able to facilitate the movement of the video data around to those display surfaces and down to the operator's position at this point.
It has been fascinating and exciting to watch the Datapath journey, even from the outside looking in. As a journalist, it has been fascinating to watch you all work together and deliver outstanding outcomes. I have to say, across what, 10,000 plus active installations, it's amazing to me the difference that you are making. And again, when you're thinking about these 24/7 environments, lives can be on the line, property can be on the line, safety can be on the line. You are facilitating the most important, the most indispensable outcome. So it's been fascinating for me as a journalist to watch it all unfold.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you, Peter, being here today for a really informative conversation. I hope that our integrator audience feels empowered with your knowledge to work in concert with Datapath to tackle these 24/7 mission critical environments. Because again, I am hearing more and more about this being a high growth, high margin, high opportunity area. It is something for integrators to sit up and take notice of. Video wall processing, as you said, Peter, is absolutely essential to making these function. And Datapath clearly knows what it's doing in terms of assuring the outcomes that these operators are looking for. So again, Peter, thank you for being here. So grateful for the time.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
And with that, we will wrap up the webinar. I want to thank everyone for attending. As I said at the outset, please do, if you have not already, take the survey, because we value your feedback. We look at each and every response, and we want to make sure that these webinars, these presentations, these events are as beneficial for you as possible, are well worth the time investment. So please take the survey now. I will also let you know that this presentation will be available on demand on commercialintegrator.com within about 24 hours of this presentation. So if you have colleagues, peers, friends, clients who you think would benefit from learning about video wall processing technology, Datapath's leadership, 24/7 mission critical environments, the command and control category, everything we've covered over the last half hour, please do not hesitate to share that link. I would love for this content to be shared even more widely than the live audience here today. So thank you in advance. Again, thank you, Peter. Thank you, Datapath, for facilitating this, and we will see you all soon.